All right, here we go. We're live. How's everyone doing? Thank you all very much for tuning in. And a shout out to those of you who've already smashed the likes. You know I see it and you know I love it. So thank you all very much. Let's get straight into it. But first, audio and visual check. Can you see me okay? Can you hear me okay? And we've got a good live stream today. I'm very commonly known as the guy who is quite negative in the space. So I know that you guys are loving it now that I've turned bullish. And I mean, when the market is bullish, I'm bullish. When the market is bearish, I'm bearish. It's that simple. And that's just the result of removing emotions from the game. So if you've got emotions in here and it's difficult for you to entertain ideas that say your money is going to go down, then you should leave, because your money will go down and you're going to be very hurt when it happens. So don't let yourself be hurt like that. That's 4 Flies' wisdom for today. Anyway, let's see what happened here. It's been great. Just like this live stream is titled, you're going to love this, because what we had yesterday was the beginning, or 2 days ago now, was the beginning of a little downtrend here on the daily time frame. And I'm going to show you how this looks zoomed in a little bit as well, because to me this is where it starts looking really nice. Is we've swept this prior low. Initially, I was just watching this today, Bitcoin managed to fall down to this level at $45,000. And I was thinking, if Bitcoin, keeps this rally up and targets the high from here, it would be okay, but not great. But no, we ended up sweeping this low at $45,000. And the reason that to me is quite cool is, this $45,000 level, this is exactly where Bitcoin got rejected from on the first time when it was rallying up here. First time it came here in a couple of months. So to see that this area, became resistance and then support, look, on 3 separate occasions, and then we lost that support, that's telling us something quite important here, which is that temporarily, and only, I think, temporarily, the bears are in control. The people who are bearish are temporarily in control, and they're sweeping lows. And the reason that that's important is it means that we're getting significant pullbacks. The more significant pullbacks you have while you're rising up, the better you are equipped to rise up even more the next time. If we're not getting significant pullbacks and we're just, pulling back a little bit and it lasts a short period of time, we can't be expecting big moves to the upside. And I want to prove this to you very quickly with a recent obvious example. Let's take a look at this chart right here on Bitmex, just because I haven't drawn anything on it. And I just want to, bring your attention to something really quick, which, we need to appreciate in this market. And it's not just because appreciation and being grateful is great, but also as a trader, when you realize these things that nobody is ever looking at, you're going to have an edge in the market. You're just going to know more about what's going on. And, when you're in a game here in trading where, every little 1% advantage you can give yourself is absolutely game changing, that is quite useful. So what this is if we take a look at this downtrend, right? At the beginning of this downtrend, when Bitcoin dropped from 65 down to $28,000, Bitcoin could not manage significant rallies because it had already recently massively overstretched itself. Right? I'm going to repeat that. Bitcoin had already recently massively overstretched itself. So we look at the size of these rallies, and Bitcoin just couldn't go very high. From here at 31,000 to the high at 41,000, Bitcoin only managed to rise up by $10,000. In comparison, just now, Bitcoin managed to go from 29 up to 46, right? So we're pushing nearly a $20,000 gain right here, very, very close. Over here, Bitcoin could only muster a $10,000 gain. On the next occasion, Bitcoin bottomed at 33, topped at 39. Bitcoin could only muster a $6,000 gain, and so on. Bitcoin just couldn't form good rallies until it hadn't recently overstretched. This allowed Bitcoin to correct, and I think that's the big reason that we're seeing such a strong rally right now. So the fact that we have this small pullback here, in my opinion, is essentially, I view them all the same. It's just a smaller version of this. And the bigger these corrections go, the more explosive I expect that we're going to be on the upside. This is actually why I was hoping so much that Bitcoin would drop down towards $20,000. Because if it did, and players like myself and other institutional investors or whatever had a chance to buy Bitcoin in the 20s, like a good chance, not like this, but a good chance, then, I mean, in my opinion, there would be absolutely no reason for people to want to sell until Bitcoin goes significantly higher, because it's just such a great entry point. And obviously that would affect the supply and demand. Anyway, that's a very broad picture. Look at this. If we zoom in and really look at what happened here, the reason I like this is, like I said, the bears are having a little bit of control in this market right now, which is great, because obviously it can't last forever, but we need to have these corrections. Previously, Bitcoin had been trending up nearly continuously for 7 days. This is exactly what I showed you in my previous YouTube video. Take a look at this beautiful Ferrari background right here. But the most recent video that I made right here was warning, you won't like this about Bitcoin, but you need to see it. And I was warning you all about how if Bitcoin managed to rise into my area of resistance on this chart, it would probably encounter resistance. And I had specifically drawn this yellow line and this yellow line to denote the bottom and top of these ranges, of this range. And Bitcoin perfectly hit this range twice. Only the bottom, it didn't manage to break into it. And I'm going to get to that in a minute, because that makes this even better. Like, it's just good news all around for this live stream. And I'm going to talk about why the fact that Bitcoin couldn't get in here, in my opinion, makes this even better. It's not perfect, but I think we've done something really cool here. And I will tell you all about that in a minute. I see you guys are enjoying this. Shout out to Suhid in the comments. Thank you very much for tuning in. And yeah, so this is great, because we're getting this pullback, you know, relatively quickly. You know, but before I think we should have, you know, been able to rally a little bit higher. We'll get to that in just a minute. But it's also hopefully going to be targeting some nice areas. So far, from the top down to the bottom, or down to our current price, Bitcoin is down by 5%. So it's a pullback. It's okay. 6.3% all the way down to the low. But we don't have good support between 45,000 and 42,000. And in fact, if you guys have been subscribed to this YouTube channel, shout out to those of you who are, because we've been correct about this rally almost like 100% as far as I can remember, since rallying up to this level, which was very, very impressive. You know, one of the main things you'll remember me talking about a lot is that pretty much throughout this entire range for Bitcoin between 40,000, and look at this, it's even on my other chart, it's picture perfect, this area that we got rejected at. I mean, this is exactly what we were expecting on this YouTube channel, just across the board. You know, getting this stuff right, and obviously, you know, beautiful profits from many of our VIP members to show for it as well. You can just pause the video and read this if you are interested, and here are the steps to join as well. If you want to get yourself in right now, join the 1,400 others who are already with us. But you know, what we have with this chart right here is between $42,000 and, you know, pretty much up to here at 50. There's not a whole lot of trading that's happened, and we can see that because, you know, the only time Bitcoin had ever traded in these ranges before was in these three circles, you know. So Bitcoin just, you know, in terms of time, in terms of the time that it's spent in these ranges, Bitcoin has not spent a lot of time around here. It goes the other way around as well. There's not a whole lot of support. I think this live stream might have a few stability issues, but let me know if it becomes bad. But those of you who were watching this YouTube channel when Bitcoin was dropping down here, you'll remember when I was saying that if Bitcoin loses 50, it's probably going to fall all the way down towards 40 and then maybe even 30. So again, you know, this is what I was saying, where, you know, this range doesn't have resistance. It also doesn't have support. So it goes both ways. And if we bring it back to this chart right here, you know, what that implies for us is that, you know, while we did get a small bounce at 45,000, that's primarily just because we established this as resistance recently. There isn't really anything else until Bitcoin falls down to 42. It very well could get a bounce here, and you can, I'm sure, state any number of reasons. Like, I mean, there is good EMA support, for example, in the 4-hour time frame. There's actually really good support. This is perfect. So, you know, I mean, there's always going to be some reason that you can say that we can expect a bounce. But in terms of just, you know, very basic ground level analysis, which in my opinion is far more accurate and far more reliable, purely because there is no room for interpretation, which means that there's no room for you to make mistakes. If we go based off that, there's only support down at 42,000, and we can see why. This area has been a good level of resistance for Bitcoin recently and historically. So that kind of analysis, by the way, that's what I teach in the Four Flies Academy course. A lot of you guys inside of VIP will be getting access to that course for free, but you can find out how to get it by following these steps on screen right here. If you're not so sure about it and you want to get a little bit more information, you can always ask for a phone call with a member of my team, and we'll get you set up for that as well. In just a minute, I'm going to be taking a look at the fear and greed index with you as well. I might have something interesting to say about this, but for those of you who are interested in that stuff, these steps are on screen here. You can pause the live stream and then come right back. Thank you all for hitting up the likes, by the way. I do appreciate that. But yeah, so that's why I'd be expecting support for Bitcoin down at $42,000. It would be nice to see that pullback, and you know, dropping down here would be great. Now, the one thing that makes me unsure about if Bitcoin can fall down this low is actually that we didn't rally high enough, in my opinion, in order to get this rally. You know, that's not the correct English here. Let me rephrase that. Bitcoin, in my opinion, could have rallied much more. It could have rallied to the top at this yellow line before getting this pullback. And so I do think that it did top out prematurely here. Sorry, just getting some connection issues, so I'll repeat that. I do think that we could have topped out prematurely here, you know, because we didn't even break into the range. And that's fine. That was already outlined as a possibility. That's why I drew this yellow line at the bottom of this box. I do try to draw these boxes as precisely as possible, even though it might not look like I do. And so, you know, this was still definitely a possibility, but this definitely did come a little bit, you know, I think it was on the earlier side. And typically, you know, in my experience from what I've seen, when we do get earlier tops in the market, they don't tend to correct so deep. You know, and I'll give you a great example of how that works in reverse. Again, just looking at this larger time frame market, again, just to prove a point. Bitcoin was obviously massively overstretched when it rallied up to $65,000. We were talking about this on this YouTube channel as we were rising up, and I was saying, you know what, guys, this is moving quite fast. I wasn't saying I think it's going to stop. I did not think it would stop, but I was saying it's rising quite fast, and this has definitely caused concern. And that's why I started selling my Bitcoin up here, which all VIP members knew about as well. The reason I started selling it up here was because I wanted to buy a house. So, you know, and I did. And that's a prime example of cashing out crypto in order to buy a house. And obviously that turned out to be a phenomenal financial decision. So I'm very, very happy with that. It's the first house I ever bought. But, you know, there is definitely an argument to be made that Bitcoin was massively overstretched over here. And of course, when it is overly stretched, I mean, we can just see the kind of pullbacks that the market tends to get. I mean, this is a big, big pullback right here, down by minus 56%. And it did last a very long time as well. It's now been 120 days, and we still have only recovered maybe half of that drop. So this has been brutal by all accounts. But when we start topping out, you know, prematurely, like we did just now, we don't actually see such strong pullbacks. Let me see if I can find you an example. Here's a good example. Bitcoin, you know, rallies down all the way to $6,500 here, and then when it starts rallying up, Bitcoin goes from just over $7,000 up to the mid 8,000s. It only rallies up by $1,500, which is still a significant percent. It doesn't sound like a lot to us now, but that's still plus 23%. You know, and I do remember this happening. I was obviously trading around these times. I made a beautiful long position here. I think I actually, if my memory serves me right, I entered a long position on this drop. So that was one of the cleaner trades that any trader can make. That was quite nice. But you can see right here that this top, it didn't last very long. Bitcoin only fell down by about $900, and then the market was able to continue rising higher. So that's pretty cool as well. You know, and it just goes to show you that, you know, when we do kind of top out early, you know, we don't get such big corrections. And then, you know, when we're overstretched, obviously there are exceptions here, like the coronavirus market crash, you know, which nobody could have predicted. But I mean, you could have predicted the market crash, but you couldn't have anticipated a pandemic. Not reasonably anyway, not as a trader. As a scientist, yes, absolutely, but not as a trader. But, you know, the fact is, I think that we are getting a fairly early pullback, and that means I don't think we, you know, I would like to see us cut all the way down to 42, but if ever there was a time that this market is not going to cut down that low, it would be now. And so I'm looking for some support for Bitcoin at $43,000 as well. This is also a level that Bitcoin managed to bounce off when it got rejected at $45,000. And might I remind you, this is exactly where Bitcoin fell down to when it had its when it nearly hit the bottom of this range at 42, but it just almost slightly missed it. It also bottomed out at $43,000. So this is also an important level, and I'm kind of raising my target for Bitcoin here to 43. I would like to see Bitcoin falling down here, and I think that would be very, very nice. Just looking through my notes here to make sure I'm not missing anything. Someone said I bought a Ferrari before I bought a house. That is true, yeah. I'm a young guy, so I fully stand by that decision. I would do it 10 more times if I had the chance, so that's very fun. But anyway, yeah, let's keep on track. But if you guys do have any questions about these markets, any technical questions or anything like that, now's your time to start dropping them in the comments, and I'll go through it when I've covered a little bit more analysis. We'll switch over to Ethereum and the like as well. But for here, support at about 43, 42 to me would be great. And I just want to show you which kind of indicators this lines up with. The daily EMA now has nearly caught up to that $42,000 level. It's still going to take a while, a couple of days for Bitcoin's EMA ribbon to get there. We're talking about maybe another 3-4 days, or potentially even just a little bit longer than that, because it is starting to level out. But still, I would be expecting this very, very soon to start acting as support in this range. So if this drop ends up being slow, or if we slightly overshoot my targets, we do still have good support, and that is great. If we did overshoot $43,000, it's not like I would immediately start turning bearish, because there's still a lot of support below Bitcoin here, and that's just because it's had such a stellar rally. So I think no matter what happens to Bitcoin, as long as it doesn't sweep this low at $37,000, as long as Bitcoin does not drop below here, I think it's in a very, very good place. And it is too early to talk about this, so I don't want to spend too much time on this. But another level that lines up with this very well is the Fibonacci. So let me show to you how that looks, because this is quite impressive. This is not from the right level. Let me draw this on the 4-hour time frame. Drawing it from this low at 29,000 up to the high at 46.47. This level also lines up quite nicely with the 0.5 Fibonacci area. This is also where Bitcoin, with the candles, not with the wicks, but where the candles ended up getting some nice support for Bitcoin. So unfortunately, the wicks fell a little bit lower, and that's where my line has been drawn. But it's, if I were to draw the line from candle body closes and opens, it would be at almost exactly the same level as the Fibonacci retracement. So it's just nice to see that there's multiple tools that provide support for Bitcoin in the same place. Whenever that happens, we build, as I've been talking about on this channel for a lot. Those of you who are subscribed, you would have heard about this. We start building confluence, and when you have a lot of indicators and different time frames and just various different things that are unrelated that come together and agree with the same conclusion, that's where in my opinion, I would start to have a healthier, stronger, more likely argument in the market, and that is where I would be more willing to put my money behind ideas as well and start trading. So I do see your questions in the live chat. Thank you very much for dropping them in. Please make sure to write my name in your comment, otherwise I will not see it. Let me see what else we have here before I move on. So yeah, I've mentioned that I don't think the drop is going to last long because we didn't rise high enough in the first instance. And the next thing, and this is where it gets really exciting, because Bitcoin didn't manage to rise as high as I think it should have, and it's had a little bit of an early drop, that I think is going to make it a little bit easier for Bitcoin to rise higher next time, because it's already recently had a pullback. And let's just break this down real quick and talk about why these pullbacks happen. And obviously when you learn these things, when you see these things happening in real life, you'll never really ever ask questions like this. And that's partly because you just haven't thought about it. And it's partly because nobody has ever taught you this as well. So those, not thinking about it, that's fine. That's just kind of down to luck. But not being taught about it, if you've ever sought educational resources and you haven't been taught about these things, you should look for better sources. But one of the key things that happens here when prices fall off, and specifically in instances like this, and it's so obvious that it might even sound like I'm wasting your time by saying this, but what's happening here is people are taking profits, right? And when we look at this in terms of supply and demand, what that means is the price, it had a kind of stable equilibrium when it was just kind of trading sideways around over here. There was a stable kind of supply demand situation. But as soon as those sellers started selling more, what we saw here was the demand decreasing and the supply increasing. But gradually, as those Bitcoins are being sold off, that supply is being brought back down. And while demand might be low, as long as supply is dropping, eventually you're going to reach an equilibrium. That's where the price bottoms out. And then you're going to reach another issue where supply is lower than demand. And that's where the price starts to rise. So this is a very, very important thing to keep in mind, the supply part of the equation. When we get small sell-offs like this, ladies and gents, when we get small sell-offs like what we've seen just here, this is people taking profits. Bitcoin has just had an absolutely spectacular rally. You better expect people to want to take profits. You know, a lot of people who may have perhaps bought Bitcoin around this area now wanting to break even. You know, Bitcoin didn't trade here for a long time, so you might not think that a lot of people bought, but the market was very volatile. And when the market is volatile, people are buying. And we know that this is proven by looking at the volume, because the volume spikes a lot down here. So, you know, we are talking about a significantly higher percentage of people than normal who would be interested in selling at this price level, purely because the market has been trending down for so long. So we're getting a little bit of healthy profit taking, again, ideally down to these support levels, and that's where the equation shifts, and now demand starts rising because bulls will want to buy at support levels. So in other words, that's a very long-winded way of saying that supply in this market is being exhausted. And when supply gets exhausted, you only have buyers left, because obviously our default state in this market up until, you know, this big drop was bullish, and that has been reinstated on this rally, in my opinion. You know, you would have to go back to that default, and that would indicate that Bitcoin might start rising. So very, very deep understanding stuff of this market. I mean, this is, you know, a lot of people you know, love to tell me, friends and stuff like that this channel is going to get huge. And you know what? That's cool if it does. It's very nice when I see the channel growing, but this is one of the reasons that it can't grow as quickly as others. And it's purely because we go really deep in this stuff, and most people just aren't interested. And that's fine. You don't need to be interested in this stuff. But as, you know, a serious trader that leverage trades this market on a regular basis like myself, if I'm not thinking about these things, I will fall behind. Unfortunately, I don't have to think about it too much. It almost just comes naturally at this point, because I've been doing it for so many years. And trust me, years are a very, very long time in crypto, because it moves so quickly. So obviously this has been very, very exciting. And I've been ripping trades back and forth in this market. I've had a few planned already, and I'm very, very excited to jump back into this. Literally, it's just a matter of patience, and I hate this part, you know, when I just have to be patient and wait. I get as trigger happy as the next guy. Seriously, you guys, a lot of you think I'm a god tier trader. I'm really not. I suffer all the same gambling tendencies that everyone else does. I just have learned to, and obviously this part sucks, but I'm very excited to get back into the market. And of course, when I do re-enter this market, when I do start trading this market again, which I anticipate could happen within hours or days, I'm still always going to be using the Bybit exchange. So for those of you who don't know, I've been using this exchange for years. It's the only exchange that I use for crypto these days, and I absolutely love them. Been working with them for years as well. When you do sign up to this this exchange with the link in the description, you're also going to be getting a link there where you're going to be getting some free cash deposited into your account. So if you want to trade on the same exchange I'm using, or if you don't have a backup to your current exchange, which is criminal in my opinion. I mean, you're asking to get hacked or in some other way to get fucked in this market if you're not you know, keeping an eye out for your security and having backup accounts, and, you know, also, you know, really, you know, properly exercising a good amount of, you know, security control on your assets. You know, you're eventually gonna get hacked, or, you know, lose your money in some way, or just, you know, maybe temporarily. Maybe it's not going to be as bad as permanently losing it, but maybe you temporarily lose it because the exchange has some maintenance or something which is unplanned. You know, it's just not responsible in my opinion. So you don't have to use Bybit, but if you don't have a backup, you should have one. Just my own humble opinion. And yeah, of course, this is a great one. You can try it out and see if you like it with that link down there, and you're going to be getting some free cash anyway. So definitely check it out if you are interested. Those of you who want to be able to see me trading in real time and everything like that as well, it's been going very, very well for many of our VIP members inside of this market. It's been going okay for me in a small profit overall, but had a few losses that cancelled out some of my wins. I am expecting the big win to come relatively soon, though, and those trades again have already been planned. Actually, it's always been the same trade that I've been making, just in various different markets. I just tweak it slightly, and that's why like a small profit so far is fine, because I'm expecting a big blow up eventually, just with the same trade idea. And this is the same trading style that I've been using for years, so I'm quite happy to keep using it, because it is it's just, when it works, it just completely blows everything out of the water, and that's why it's worth waiting for a little bit, in my opinion. But anyway, all of those details, they go straight into VIP for those of you who are interested to check out and see if you would like to join. Once again, by the way, thank you all for tuning in. Thank you all for hitting up the likes, and I'm ready to start going through your questions, so I'll do that while we leave this on screen for those of you who want to reach out. And I'm going to start from the top as usual, just to make sure that I read every single question. We'll see how well that goes. Do I think Bitcoin could rally to 100k this year? Yes, absolutely I do. And what if we close daily candles below 40? If we close daily candles below 40, that would look like falling all the way down to here and then lower than this line. That would not be good. But again, Bitcoin has a lot of support, like I've shown you around this area, and with the Fibonacci, the daily Ichimoku cloud is going to start turning into support, although it'll turn into support significantly higher. But we do also still have that daily EMA ribbon, right in that range, stretching all the way up to 41, but starting from about 38, the high 38 range. So there's still a lot of support for Bitcoin if it drops down there, but of course it wouldn't be good if Bitcoin fell all the way down there, in my opinion, in the first place. The 4 hour is forming an M pattern. Would this bring it down to there? Okay, so I've already covered a lot of these questions. If Bitcoin drops to 42k support, what would Ethereum's price be at the same time? That's a good question. Obviously, I don't know because I can't see the future, but there's a way to tell, a rough idea. To get a rough idea of it, in terms of how it was in the past, and it's simply by overlaying the Ethereum chart with Bitcoin, and we can start taking a look at how this has gone for Ethereum. Just looking at the last time that Bitcoin was at $42,000, what was the price of Ethereum? And I can do this by manipulating this chart a little bit. There we go, and I just want to put a vertical line on the day that Bitcoin hit 42, which was over. There's a few instances, and Ethereum was trading at different prices, so it's actually a little bit difficult to answer this question, but one is here and another is here. And on those days, Ethereum was trading at $2,500, and let me say the exact number, 2,450 and 2,580. So that's a possible pullback area to look at for Ethereum, kind of mid 2000s. And if we take a look at what that looks like on Ethereum's chart, what does $2,500 look like on Ethereum's chart? Does it look plausible that Ethereum can fall down there? What you're going to start to see is actually that's one of the best areas of support that Ethereum has in this market, in my opinion. It's actually where I've already had a pre-existing support level drawn for Ethereum, and I'm sure that we would see some sort of indicators showing us that there could be some support here. Although this rally has just been so strong, that's a potential. And this is just purely, I know this doesn't sound realistic right now, but when it rains, it does pour in crypto, right? So dropping by $500 right now might seem quite unthinkable. But if things really did get bad, to be honest, I think this would only fall this low if Bitcoin fell below 42. But definitely, it's good to not be surprised if Ethereum did end up falling down that low. More likely, though, what I'm thinking for Ethereum is that it's just going to keep on trading sideways, because what I want to focus your attention on is let's look at this low on the 9th of August. Ethereum bottomed out at $2,900 on the 9th of August. Bitcoin, in contrast. Oh, I'm sorry. I was going to say Bitcoin swept this low, but it hasn't. So Bitcoin and Ethereum both haven't swept their lows. The main thing for Ethereum is just that it's been rallying harder than Bitcoin. So it does drop harder than Bitcoin. We can see this on the right-hand side. Bitcoin down by 2.5%, Ethereum down by 3%. So Ethereum does drop harder than Bitcoin, but it also rises harder than Bitcoin. And as long as Bitcoin is having a healthy, normal almost what I would call routine pullback, which it would be doing if it falls down to this level. You know, I don't think anything particularly bad is going to happen to Ethereum, because it's in one of those stages now where when Bitcoin does its own thing, as long as it's not completely shitting the bed, as long as it's not completely losing its ground and entering a waterfall sell-off that gets very, very hideous, as long as Bitcoin is not doing that and it's already in an uptrend, Ethereum usually takes every chance it gets to either continue a bullish continuation pattern, which would look like this, or to resume the bullish trend. It always does either of these two things. So in my experience again. So that's where I think we are right now as well. Let's see what else we have here in the comments. Hope that was helpful. We already know once we brush 42k, you're going full skeptic bear mode. This is bad for Bitcoin holders. You already fucking know it, mate. Yep, you're absolutely correct. The titles will come out. The analysis won't change, but the titles will come out. I'll be completely upfront with you guys about that. We're not pretending about that one, but that's part of the game. Thank you for being part of crypto. Can you please give us, you're very welcome, thank you as well. Can you please give us a quick outline what's in the Full Fledged Academy course? Yeah, for sure. So it's been started up. I recorded it obviously based around what I wanted, and it's essentially been built as a complete A to Z one-stop shop for learning how to trade. Now note, that's learning how to trade. That's not learning how to invest, and that's not learning how to understand blockchain or anything. This is just, how the fuck do I make money? That's the main question that we're answering, and how do I make it consistently? How do I make it big? Those are the main ideas that we are that I made the course thinking about. So for what that starts with, just in case you've never ever traded before, in case you don't know what Bitcoin is, literally you're a janitor, you're a chef, you're in a field that's completely unrelated, you have no skills in this at all. We start from there, and that's kind of breaking everything down. But that's just the first 1 or 2 modules. Then we start talking about, and I'm just thinking of this from memory now, so I might forget because it's been a while since I made the course. I think like over a year. But and thankfully these things, they don't expire, and that's why actually you get a huge amount of value when you get the course side by side with VIP, because VIP shows you how I'm doing everything in real time. The issue with books and courses is that they're recorded in the past, but when you get to see those same lessons printed in front of you in real time, that's where it can really hit hard, and that's where you really start to see people pulling astronomical gains that they've never even imagined before, purely because they're just taking in such a powerful learning experience. I mean, it really is quite transformative for those of you who pay attention to these kind of things right here. But yeah, from there we're talking about the concepts of trading, breaking it down from the beginning, and then we start going into how to analyze the markets, and then how to trade. And it's all in this order, by the way. First how to analyze, then how to trade. And the reason that it's been structured in this way is essentially it's like you're playing with a chainsaw and you're a little kid when you start trading, or even if you're experienced. Many people are just doing it badly. 90% of people lose 90% of their money, for example. And so we teach it in such a way where first we're going to teach you how to not fuck it up, and then we're going to teach you how to use the tools. And I think that's quite important. It's just like, if you've never learned how to trade, that's obviously, in my opinion, the best way. And it's also structured interestingly. It's all been structured in a way where, a lot of educational resources are done where you learn all the basics first, then all of the intermediate stuff, then all of the advanced stuff, and then all the, expert level stuff. And it's like a pyramid. And I think that form of teaching is great, but I actually think it can be done better if you get taught not like a pyramid, but instead like skyscrapers. So we're going to run with one theory or one idea from the absolute basics all the way as advanced as I can possibly be. And then we're going to start from scratch at the next concept, and it will gradually build together to be a big, big picture. So there's a lot that goes into it, and that's kind of my description of it. But if you want all the information about it, including the pricing, how to get it, we can have you enrolled before the end of today. And I'm going to announce to my team that we're doing a discount. So let's go ahead and do that. 10% off for everybody. Please send new pricing. I've just told my team there. So if you guys want a discount, then please go ahead and reach out following these steps right here on screen, and we'll get you in. So there you go. But let's keep going through the questions. Let's see what else we have here. There is a perfect upward trend line forming from the recent 28K bottom. Do you think Bitcoin could find support on this line and then continue pushing upwards? Let's see. These trend lines are usually quite steep. I mean, it certainly could, but I don't have any faith in that. I don't like to use trend lines like that. How can we be sure that this is not a bull trap and we drop to 30K again soon? So someone is asking, how do we know that the market isn't doing this to trap people in long positions, or in other words, to trap people in bad losing positions, and that the market is going to drop down? How do we know that we're not doing that right now? And I mean, the answer is we don't. We never know anything for sure, or at least, if you're sensible and realistic, you will never know anything for sure in these markets. But, I think that risk has significantly been reduced, given that, look, at the end of the day, Bitcoin, it was too, and I was saying this from the beginning of this bear market, Bitcoin right now should not be entering a bear market. I was saying this at the top, and I was saying it at the bottom. Even when I was saying that I wanted Bitcoin to go down to 20K, I said that whole affair might just last a couple of days. I was never expecting a very long-term bear market for Bitcoin. And the reason for that is that Bitcoin only swept its all-time high. Look, Bitcoin only swept its all-time high in 2020. In December 2020. And we initiated this downtrend in May. Right? This is a very, very important thing to keep in mind with time-based analysis. This is something that it would be difficult to teach. So you might not have been taught about this when you learned about trading and stuff like this. But it's just one of those things that you'll feel out with experience, right? These bull markets, they typically last a lot longer than just 5 months. Very, very important note to start my answer to your question. Very, very important note. These markets, when they're in extremely bullish mode, after breaching the all-time high, they're probably going to be bullish for a lot longer than 5 months. And so that means that, hopefully, we should be resuming this massive uptrend that we started over here. We should be resuming it now, because we shouldn't be entering a big bear market. And if we ended up falling from here down to 30K, that could take another, 1 or 2 weeks. And from there, if we fell all the way down to 30K, that you can't tell me that support level is going to hold after rallying up to nearly $50,000. I just don't think that's going to happen. And so this support level would have to break, and we would fall even lower towards $20,000. And this would really just become a macro bear market. And I don't think that Bitcoin is set for that yet. We haven't trended for long enough yet to warrant, right? We haven't trended for long enough in terms of time to require such a brutal bear market. I just don't think we've done that. I think this was brutal enough. I think this was enough pain in the market to wash out those weak hands, to redistribute the Bitcoins. Ladies and gents, I want to remind you, it was only idiots buying up here, with the small exception of people like Michael Saylor, who I think are just PR characters for the space, to be honest with you guys, but that's just my opinion, and I'm young and stupid, so hopefully I'm wrong about that. I really do hope I'm wrong about that. But at the end of the day, you're not getting smart people buying at the top. So these people are buying up here, and they're selling their Bitcoin to the suit and tie traders who've been experienced in the markets for many years and many decades. Those are the people who've been able to reaccumulate these Bitcoins down here. So, I just don't see that scope. This is a very standard drop then, when we look at it that way. So I just don't see the scope for Bitcoin to fall all the way back down now. I also want to add a little bit more evidence to my argument, where I'm saying that Bitcoin, would typically rally for much more than 5 months after breaking the old all-time high. And I'm going to prove, this is not proof, but I'm going to show right here, I'm going to be showing you guys how this has happened in the past on the Bitstamp chart, where when we take a look at this chart on the logarithmic scale, and we look at this all-time high at $1,100, I'm sorry, when Bitcoin managed to pass this level, right? Take a look at this. This is a big deal now. We're on the weekly time frame. When Bitcoin managed to pass its all-time high over here, it then did it again, and it's only the second occasion that we're interested in, because this is the one where Bitcoin stayed up. Bitcoin stayed bullish, right? This is very, very important. Bitcoin passed its old all-time high, which it set You know, it broke it in 2017. It set it in 2013. So this is about, 3-4 years, which is exactly the same amount of time that Bitcoin took now from 20K to 20K again. You know, not now, but recently. It's exactly the same time frame, 3-4 years. Bitcoin from that point stayed bullish. Bitcoin stayed bullish for 238 days, right? So we're pushing like 3/4 of a year that Bitcoin, I mean, it was 3/4 of a year because it was from April to December. I mean, it was 2/3 or something. I don't know. I don't know. But it was a long time that Bitcoin was, staying bullish, after breaking its all-time high. And to me, it just doesn't make sense that it would be significantly different this time, right? So we look at $20,000 here up to this peak. Bitcoin was only bullish for 150 days. And this gets really exciting here. One second. This actually gets really exciting here, where Bitcoin actually ends up, showing us that it's only managed to trade for 150 days in the upside direction, and it's now had such a deep pullback. So, I mean, that's partly because we rallied up so much, but I think it also partly indicates that this rally could be ready to get much more extreme and much more crazy, purely because, again, we've had, quite a big pullback. We never got a pullback this big in 2017. The biggest pullback we got was maybe, 60%. And actually, that is pretty big, but it wasn't, it's actually bigger than this, my bad. But it wasn't actually as big in terms of time. In terms of time, the longest time that Bitcoin was correcting was here, from June to July, which lasted, I mean, like about, 4 or 5 weekly candles. So only about 4 or 5 weeks. This has been bearish for much longer than that. And it's been 91 days. I don't know how many weeks that was. It's been 13 bars. So it's been 13 weeks that Bitcoin has not been able to recover that. And that, again, is going to really tell you something about its strength, or lack thereof. And so, again, back to your question, no, I don't think that Bitcoin is going to fall down to, well, that wasn't your question. I don't think Bitcoin's going to fall back down to 30, and that's how I'm, fairly sure of it. It's just because I don't think we're due for such a big bear market, and so this recovery right now actually makes a lot of sense. There we go. That's a very, very long answer to a fairly simple question, but that's all about what trading and analysis is, in my opinion. Dean asking, how was my trip? It was very good, thank you very much. Do you think we'll have... Oh, I've missed that. Let me find that comment again, hang on. Oh, I've lost all the questions now. No, I haven't. Bear with me. I need to find this again. Do you think we'll have only about 90 to 100 days of bull market before the final blow off top? I mean, that's kind of, looking at previous, where Bitcoin was rallying for, after breaking the all-time high previously, it ended up rallying, for about 250 days. We hit 150 over here, so that might indicate another 100 days. If Bitcoin was following what happened in 2017, and we were going to have 250 days of a majority bullish market, then yeah, hitting 150 already would mean that we've occupied 150 of those spaces, and there's 100 bullish days left. But like I just said, we had such a deep correction, which is not normal. So I actually would say that it might be longer than that. I don't know. I don't like to answer questions like that. First of all, because I'm not good at it. I'm not that kind of analyst or trader. I'm not a long-term trader. I'm only interested in making money now, and ideally big money like this motherfucker right here with a beautiful 10k profit. Look at that. Shout out to this guy. Absolutely huge gains. That's the only kind of stuff I'm interested in. But it's still fun to talk about these things, and obviously, I do still look at this stuff in my own time from time to time. I just don't usually talk about it because it's not relevant to making money, in my opinion. Let's see what else we have here in the comments. How did I figure out the market was already getting overstretched in March? So this person is asking me for Bitcoin here. How did I start feeling like Bitcoin was trading, had traded too high around here? And the reason I started feeling that was just looking at how quickly Bitcoin tripled its previous all-time high. Bitcoin from the 16th of December, which by the way, it was like the 17th of December 2017, 3 whole years before this, exactly 3 years almost, to the day, nearly, just 1 day off. Bitcoin set the all-time high, and then, almost exactly 3 years later, it broke that all-time high. So it's so poetic. It's like we're living in a simulation. But anyway, the point is, for Bitcoin to get from here to $58,000, which is nearly tripling its price, or it actually was, depending on how you draw it, it took Bitcoin 69 days, 70 days, right? Just over 2 months. Bitcoin within just over 2 months. I want to say this, like properly, right? I mean, we're all in this market and we're all looking at it and we're reading these numbers, but we're not actually internalizing how insane this is. In just over 2 months, Bitcoin tripled. It tripled, right? So imagine your net worth goes from, currently, with your house, your car, whatever, your net worth minus liabilities, whatever. Let's just say, I don't know, for, the average, nuclear family in America, the perfect success story of the West 50 years ago, the average net worth adjusted for inflation today might be, I don't know, let's say $300,000. Super, super rough number. Imagine that from August now to, what is it, like October? Yeah, to late October this year, your net worth goes from that 300K number to 900. It is an absolutely insane rally. And we're not internalizing that. We're not keeping in mind how strong of a rally that was. Obviously, you're not, when you're rapidly making money like that, you're not thinking this is off. You're thinking I'm a fucking genius. You're thinking I'm a king. You're thinking where are the bitches and the blow. That's the only thing you're interested in when your net worth triples, but not if you're part of the Four Flies team. Not if you've got something of substance up here. You're actually thinking, yeah, it's very cool that I've made money, and you better believe I'm going to be buying a Ferrari with that money, but, and this is a big deal, but this is not healthy, right? The market can't do this forever. So that's why I started selling my Bitcoin up in this range, being one of the distributors, being one of the smart guys, and then obviously letting Bitcoin drop lower. So, well, I mean, I didn't let it drop lower. I wish I had that much power, but, that's what those are the kind of alarm bells that should be going off, and you'll get an idea of this. The first time that you make a lot of money, you are going to be feeling all of those amazing things. But the fifth time when it happens to you, and you've been screwed the previous 4 times because you couldn't think clearly, when that fifth occasion comes, you're going to be a lot more consciously aware. Ideally, like if you learn from your lessons, you're going to be a lot more consciously aware of where things could be getting dangerous, and where you could start getting some early warning signs of things turning very bad. So there you go. Very, very thorough answers to your questions today. Let's see what you guys are saying in the comments today. Thank you all very much for tuning in. Thank you for 500 likes. Absolutely smashing it today. I'm going to go back to a little bit of analysis on Ethereum and then go back to your questions. And as usual, you already know I'm not going to be missing any single question right here. As long as you guys make sure to tag me, I'm not missing your question. Any comments that don't tag me, I'm not reading them because there are too many. But if you have tagged me, you've guaranteed that I will read your question and answer it. But Ethereum, I'm looking at something similar. I would like to see Ethereum dropping down to 2,900. It's fairly close now. This would be a beautiful place for Ethereum to bounce. And again, it's the same picture for Ethereum, very simple. The difference between Bitcoin and Ethereum is that Ethereum does not have any resistance up until its all-time high, in my opinion. Ethereum went up in a straight line and it dropped down in a straight line. Pretty much. I mean, obviously it wasn't exactly a straight line, but broadly speaking, it was a pretty straight line. And so, to me, that indicates that Ethereum is not going to be able to, encounter a whole lot of resistance on the way up. It should be a fairly straightforward, fairly easy ride up. It already has been, and I would expect that to continue. I think it did need to correct. A time-based correction is fine. Price-based is better, but time is fine. And so just trading sideways is okay. And I would expect Ethereum to, continue to keep that trend moving forward, and then end up rising up towards the mid $4,000 level. And Bitcoin, unfortunately, is a little bit more complex for Bitcoin. It's got a fair bit of resistance ahead of it. Even when it clears this resistance, it has more in the 60, high 50, low 60 range as well. It also has resistance at the all-time high because it's psychological resistance. So and of course this is all my opinion, but you know, because of that, you know, there is definitely some scope for some trouble for Bitcoin around those kind of levels. But for now, you know, I think that yeah, Ethereum is a little bit better in that case. And it's been one of my focuses on trading lately. So those of you who are in VIP, and by the way, I see that many of you have already reached out with asking for your discount as well. So if you want a discount on Force VIP, we've just done it right here, so you can reach out following these steps on screen. Those of you who've already reached out, every single one of you have now been responded to by a member of my team, so you can check your phone. And by the way, these steps, they don't require a download or sign up or anything, so it's pretty quick to get the information. This is the only way you can buy VIP from us, by the way. Anything else is a scam, and please don't fall for the scam, because they will take your money and then block you. Many people are not careful enough online, and it's no good. You should be careful about these things. No one's going to be careful for you, and there's no government or bank you can go to report fraud for Bitcoin. So just make sure that you don't get scammed. Okay, that's very important. You know that this is legit because this YouTube channel is verified. It has a verified tick. You can't see it if you're on mobile, but you can if you're on desktop. And so any link that you find on this YouTube channel is always going to be genuine. Let's see what else we have here in the questions in the comments. If the Bitcoin daily candle closes below the 200-day moving average today, do I think there is a possibility of the rally being a dead cat bounce and Bitcoin can still go down to 28K? Again, no, I don't think. I mean, obviously there's a possibility, but I don't think any of those things are likely. The 200-day moving average is up here, so we are actually already below it. I wouldn't be too worried if Bitcoin closed below it, to be honest. It's definitely not a good thing. It means that we've lost a good grounding for Bitcoin. So that would be a shame. For me, it's almost like there's a time limit where I'm not so interested in the close, but if Bitcoin cannot, for some reason, rise back above this moving average within the next couple of days, within the next 1 week, then I would expect Bitcoin to be dropping significantly lower. It's just, look, losing support is not the worst thing that can happen right now. This is quite a bullish market in my opinion, right? So I'll give you this analogy of this high school crush that you have. She can do anything. She can even fart in your face and you're still going to be super attracted. And it's kind of the same thing with Bitcoin right here, in my opinion, where it's very, very attractive to a lot of people, so it can do bad things and still be okay. It's just that it shouldn't stay bad. And that for me, it means, we can lose this moving average, and that's fine. And I've never, since the beginning, cared about it too much. I did outline it as resistance, and it did function as resistance. But beyond that, I'm not too interested in it. It's just that it is a level of support, and if we do lose it, I just want to see that Bitcoin can recover it fairly quickly. So there you go. The concept of supply and demand and how it affects price does not apply to crypto markets like it does to normal retail environments. I actually very, very strongly disagree with that. I think it applies much more in crypto because crypto, by far, compared to any retail environment that I've ever seen, has the most amateurs. And I guess Robinhood actually took that trophy away from crypto. With the general, US population trading stocks now, and that being a trendy thing. But crypto is still a very, very emotional, very psychologically, manipulated market in that sense. So I think it's very much the opposite of what you said, and I actually think crypto is affected a lot by those issues of supply and demand. And in fact, that's the only thing that affects any market when you boil it down. When you really look at it at the ground level, that's the only thing that matters, is supply and demand. People want a lot of a thing, but people don't want to sell it, so supply is low and demand is high, and the price shoots up. Look at Tesla. When Tesla was blowing up, everyone wanted it, but nobody wanted to sell because they were making money. So supply was very low, but demand was very high. Can I explain the ETH movement again? I would like to not do that, purely because actually when I spoke about Ethereum bottoming out in the mid-2000s, that was before I remembered that Ethereum is actually stronger than Bitcoin right now. So I don't actually think a big pullback for Ethereum is due. It would be nice if we got it always, but I don't think it's due. Do I pay attention to the 200 MA? Yes, you just had your answer. I mean, I'm aware of it, but I don't care about it too much. How do I calculate where to put my stop losses? Also, my thoughts on the hidden bearish divergence since the 14th of April peak. So first of all, how do I choose my stop losses? That's quite a technical question. I don't want to go into that one today because this channel does focus on analysis. Those are the kind of things that I tend to cover inside of VIP. In short, let's say I was going long. I want to think of an example that's historic because I don't want to give away what I'm doing for VIPs. Let's say I was going to go long if Bitcoin rises above $65,000. I'd probably have my stop loss, below this high because I think Bitcoin could retrace. If it rose above this level, I think Bitcoin can fall all the way back down to here to find support. But it could even fall down to this spike over here. So I would want my stop loss, maybe just below 59, something like that. That gives it a good amount of headroom. So it's it's dependent on where the support and resistance levels are, and then just a little bit beyond them. That's the broad way that I said. But then there's so many more things that go into it, like percentage and leverage, and where certain indicators are, and the probability of hitting them, and how many times we tested those. It's a very, very complex thing, and it's different every single time, and that's why I talk about it inside of the 4 Slides VIP group, and that's why I do break down that strategy inside of the academy as well. How long should the bull? How long should be the pull back to? I don't understand that question. Sorry. It's been 245 days now since Bitcoin broke 20K. Yeah, it has been. It's been a long time. I get you, but Bitcoin has not been trending up for that long. So that's what I want you to keep in mind. Bitcoin has not been bullish for that long. This is definitely a significantly longer market cycle, I think. Kanal, what's up? How you doing, man? This person's saying, it's a long time since I've been on one of your streams. Do I think we've bottomed for this cycle? Yes, I do. Someone's asking about the United Kingdom and Bybit. I can't comment on that. Your government says don't use it, and your government knows what's best for you. Every time everybody thought that, it's ended very well in history. Thoughts on closing below the 200 MA? Okay, already answered that. What is the target for Bitcoin to find support at 43,000 and rise back up? If Bitcoin finds support at 43K, my target for Bitcoin would be 50K or 51 or higher, maybe towards 52. And then I would have to, see what happens while Bitcoin gets there. What is the significance of a closing candle? It's not super significant in my opinion. Other analysts think that it's quite important, but I couldn't care less, to be honest. It's generally not something I talk about. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but I just don't think, where a candle closes is super important. I mean, it's important, but it's not as important as people make it out to be. It indicates a sense of finality. I mean, it tells you, like, look, this is where the market settled, and that is a little bit more important than worrying about where the market was. That's the only time where I think that's important. I'm going to start wrapping this one up now, so I'll just go through your last questions and then call this a stream. But thank you all very much for tuning in, for hitting the likes, for subscribing. I do appreciate and love you all. Thank you all very much. Once more, if you're interested in taking advantage of what we've got, we're running a discount right now. I just decided it on stream. So check out these steps if you want to gain access to what we're doing. That includes the 4 Flight Academy, where you're going to be learning absolutely everything I know about trading from A to Z, same way I do it. And VIP, where you get to watch me trading in real time as well. So you get both learning experiences handed to you on a silver plate in a very, very powerful combination. What is my analysis on Binance Token? I don't trade Binance Token, so I can't comment on that, unfortunately. What are my thoughts on Cardano during this run? On Cardano high, I never really speculate on where a market can top, because realistically, there's no good way to tell. It's an extremely pointless exercise in my opinion. Considering that these markets rise very irrationally, you may as well just kind of take a dart and throw it at a wall, as far as I'm concerned. you know, and do it blindfolded, you know, that's as good as what I would be able to say about that. But I am quite bullish on Cardano purely because it functions in similar ways to Ethereum, broadly speaking, compared to other cryptos, and it does it very well. So, you know, while I call it shitcoin and stuff like that, you know, obviously part of it is a joke. You know, it is a very strong coin, and I would definitely expect it to be able to rise quite nicely during this rally. Could I have a look at XRP? I also don't trade that. I heard that it pumped up massively, but I couldn't care less, to be honest. I'll just take a look at a few of these, I guess, just to see what's up. Maybe there's something to laugh about, or maybe it's just generally interesting. So let's see what's happening here. So I mean, yeah, it's in the area of resistance that I outlined a long time ago. If XRP breaks this, it could be able to rise all the way up to a resistance level around $1.30, and that would be a very nice 30% rise. Other than that, I've got pretty much no comments on XRP. Let's look at Binance Token as well, though. It's well worth taking a look since so many of you are interested. I personally have a personal vendetta. I don't know. I have a personal problem with Binance because I hate the exchange. I think they're terrible. I think they're run in terrible ways. Actually, the exchange itself is great. It's a great exchange to be on, to be honest, especially as a consumer. But they are definitely some of the shadiest players in the industry. Anyway, I don't need to talk about that too much. Binance Token, similar picture as XRP. I think that if it's able to rise above kind of 400, there's no resistance for Binance, you know, kind of until it rises up to 500. And that is a nice 20% rise, more than that 25% rise for Binance Token. So, and this one is a little bit safer than XRP in my opinion. This is actually a pretty good coin to be trading. Again, I have so many issues with Binance, but at the end of the day, I have to admit, I mean, they are a great platform, and their coin performs amazingly, and it's actually a very healthy coin to trade. So as a trade, I actually think that, you know, it is pretty good. I think it's just, for me, a little bit of pride and a little bit of, you know, I don't care too much about altcoins anyway, but maybe I should start looking a little bit more. You also look forward to meeting me in Dubai. That's very cool, man. Yeah, let's definitely set that up. Always happy to do that. Ethereum or Bitcoin better for gains? I think Ethereum is better, but I think Bitcoin is safer, so I choose Bitcoin. What are my thoughts on the hidden bearish divergence? Yeah, let's talk about that one. So the hidden bearish divergence for Bitcoin on the 4-hour time frame is probably the best one to look at. And I'm going to remove all of these lines now and drawings because I don't need them. And what this person is talking about is that the RSI has been trending lower while the market has, in the same time, been trending higher, right? So the market moving up overall, setting higher highs, higher lows, RSI trending lower, setting lower highs, and about to potentially set lower lows as well. So this is usually an early warning sign of the market turning bearish. It's showing us that the market is losing relative strength. This is the relative strength index. So if it's going down, it means that the strength is going down. This means the market is losing strength while it's rising up. And so it's basically a sign that this is diverging and it can't stay in divergence forever. So the market does need to correct and fall back down. My issue with this indicator, and this is a very big one, and the big reason that I don't like RSI divergences is that this thing started being bearish when Bitcoin was in the mid $30,000 range. So these are extremely unreliable. You know, while it does make a lot of sense when you learn about them, you know, on paper, in a video, in a book, you know, the RSI divergence thing sounds like a major life hack. In practice, it's worse than useless in my opinion, because it loses you money, because it actually has been quite bearish since the mid $30,000 range. And if you were bearish over here, you know, that was not the best time to be bearish. So, you know, I instantly write off indicators like this because they're just not super reliable. But it's still a good one to look at, to be honest. It's just, yeah, I'm not worried about it. Not on this occasion. Sometimes I take them into consideration, not on this one. How do I interpret the 50k fib, 30 to 100k range? You can't draw it at 100k, can you? I think that's a little bit unreasonable, but let's just see what that looks like. I don't know where you're drawing it from, actually, so I can't draw it. So let me know what's the bottom of your Fibonacci retracement. Hans is saying, 4 flies, I hit it on the head. Nice play. Thank you very much. Thanks for the answer. You're very welcome. Do I ever short? Yes, of course. I do everything. Well, I don't do everything. I only long and short, but I'm never scared to go short. Always looking to make money in the market however I can, you know, as a trader. Any opportunity, long, short, up, down, doesn't matter. I'm making money on the way up. I'm making money on the way down. VIP members here are really showing that very clearly, making money while the market's dropping, going short, which means selling the market. And then over here, a more recent example of someone trading the upside. I think he traded the upside here. Yeah, long side. So, making money up, making money down. Same for our VIP members as well. Bitcoin pumped about 95% from the lows of 2018 February crash. Are we seeing a similar kind of pump now since everyone is bullish before we see new lows? Bitcoin going up by 95% would put Bitcoin below its current all-time high. So no, I think that this rally is actually going to be much stronger than that. If we look at this ruler tool right here, going up by 95% puts us at $57,000. So I actually think that Bitcoin is going to get to at least the all-time high, which is 120%. But then, obviously, I think Bitcoin is going to rise above the all-time high. And typically, when it rises above the all-time high in these kind of contexts, we usually at least double it. So I'm actually targeting $130,000 because that's double of 65. And that puts us at a 346% gain. So I quite firmly, and I've been saying this since the beginning, even when I was saying Bitcoin's going to go down to 20K, or not that I was saying it's going to happen, but that I was hoping it would happen. Even if that happened, my target has always stayed the same of, 120, 130K. And yeah, so I think Bitcoin is actually going to rally much harder than that. Just given that, like I said, I don't think Bitcoin is due for a big bear market. How much does a 1 hour and 4 hour time frame count for jumping from support? I think it's as reliable as anything else. It's pretty much the only thing I use other than the daily as well. Are we bottom for this pullback already? I don't know, but I think so. I mean, I can't see the future, but yeah, I do think so. Flies, you always give good tips. No, I don't. I'm not a financial advisor. What about the coin XRP? I don't have an opinion on it, but I've already told you guys, what my analysis is. Flies, has anyone ever told you that you're the sexiest YouTuber alive? You're pretty ass face, sexy man. Thank you very much. It's a very nice compliment. No, I usually just get that I have a good voice. What do you think of the 1 hour possible 2 hour death cross? I'm not looking at a 1 hour death cross. That sounds very extreme. That sounds like you're just rushing to do analysis for the sake of doing analysis. So yeah, if you're looking for things on very, very small time frames, then you're probably over trading and over analyzing. Thanks, Flies. You're the best. You're very, very welcome. Thank you very much. Milk or cereal first? I can't remember. I think it's cereal first, isn't it? I wouldn't do it milk first. I think anyone who says milk first is just lying. They're just saying it for attention. I mean, you might do milk first as a mistake, and then you'll never do it again. Oh, the hidden bearish divergence on daily since the 14th. I'm sorry. I looked at the wrong RSI divergence. Very sorry. You even said that it's on the daily. I just didn't pay attention to that. This one, well, this hidden bearish divergence is already over. From the 14th of April, you said. Yeah, it's already over, so unless we have different RSI settings, my RSI settings are 14. So maybe your RSI is set up differently to mine. Maybe your setting is 7. Let me see what 7 looks like. So I think, if I'm not mistaken, 7 is the other popular configuration. No, it's the same. So yeah, I'm not sure what you're talking about, to be honest. Thoughts on the golden cross? Don't have any thoughts, don't care too much. You predicted the last bottom pattern perfectly 3 months ago. Well, I don't remember doing that, but I take the compliment. Thank you very much. I don't remember what happened 3 months ago, actually. What did happen 3 months ago? We're in August now, so 3 months ago was May. Yeah, we were quite on point with this drop. Yeah, that was pretty nice. Please check Matic. I don't think I want to be honest. I never trade Matic. Do I do TA? Do I only do TA, or what about chain analysis? I don't do chain analysis. I pretty much only do TA. Someone's asking, do I have a girlfriend? No, I'm married to the game. Completely stuck to it. When new Ferrari? When I can afford it, maybe. I want the SF90, and I think it's like $600,000. So It would be very stupid if I bought something like that right now. So yeah, basically just when I'm comfortable buying one. Because I can't get finance, I'm too young for that. Well, maybe I'm not too young anymore, I'm 20 now. So yeah, Ferrari SF90 would be nice. I'm also looking at either a Speedster, a Porsche Speedster, which is a GT3 but convertible, with a manual gearbox. My current Porsche 911 GT3 has a manual gearbox, so I would love to just have that with the roof down. But those are also super expensive, so maybe the Spider, which is the 718, the new Porsche 718, it's that as a convertible, tuned to GT level. My connection is not very stable right now, but it's that tuned to GT level without a roof. So that also would be very nice. Other than that, yeah, and also an Urus. I want a lot of cars. Like, really, it's an addiction. I mean, it's hard for me to control it. Like I'm quite impulsive with my cars, but I love them. I mean, it's my favorite thing in the world. What would I rather have? A toothpaste flavored onion or an onion flavored toothpaste? Onion flavored toothpaste sounds really cool. That sounds really cool because I've never seen that before. So I would love to be able to say I have an onion flavored toothbrush. That would be very cool. What would I say is Bitcoin's intrinsic value? I have no idea. It's not a conversation that I'm interested in because it's not related to short-term trading, and that's what I do. Bitcoin's intrinsic value, in my opinion, is whatever people are paying for it today, and that's it. You guys love the marry the game comment. I need a house in Ibiza first. It's cheaper and you can nightclub all summer long. You can live that lifestyle wherever you like, but I'm not interested in clubbing too much. It's not something that that appeals to me a lot. I've recently realized this a lot lately. I actually much prefer being around friends who are very like intellectually focused and like, they're reading books all the time and stuff. That's generally my my favorite kind of pastime is that. I just don't tend to do it because the other stuff is more exciting. But I'm gonna get back into that. I haven't shown you anything on fear and greed. Yeah. So the fear and greed index has stayed the same since yesterday. 70 today, 70 yesterday. When the fear and greed index stays the same, but the market has dropped. Let's just do some quick analysis on what that means, right? The situation is not the same today. The market is not the same today as it was yesterday. We are down a little bit. Not a lot, but a little bit. So the market has dropped, but people are not any more scared of the market right now. So people, in other words, have not had their confidence shaken, right? In other words, people's confidence in this market has not been shaken based off this recent drop. So you could interpret that, and I'm not saying this is the interpretation to make. I'm just saying you could interpret that as the market being... How is there a Philip Plein ad? What the fuck? Philip Plein, Crypto King, 15. This is a very interesting ad. I definitely would have expected that. But anyway, what was I saying? Yeah. So the market has dropped, but people are still just as confident, and that could indicate, potentially a level of irrational exuberance. You don't care what happened. Like I said, that high school girl analogy, the terrible analogy. You don't care that she did something bad, that she disrespected a waiter. You're still very, very attracted because you're head over heels, and that's how I think. The market could be feeling right now, and it's not a conclusion that I'm making by any means, but it's definitely one potential interpretation. If cars are my game, why not Monaco? Well, precisely because it's Monaco. Monaco is an absolutely terrible place to own a car. It's great if you want to show off, but I actually prefer to drive my cars and enjoy them. Not buy a car and leave it parked like a pussy and never hit 150 miles per hour on it and, not throw it around. You can't do anything in Monaco. I think cars are made to be driven and made to be enjoyed, and if if you don't get a chance to scratch up your car a little bit, it means that you've been too scared with it. And to me, that's a massive shame. What about friends who read books but also like clubbing? I think you're the only connection issue there. I think you're the only one I know who's like that. Other than that, I can't think of anyone else who is into both. The clubs are gone anyway. No, they're not. Clubs are open everywhere in the world that I've seen. Favorite country to travel is probably USA, just because it has LA. Because like everything West Coast USA is just exactly where I solidly fit into. Other than that, obviously UAE is probably one of my more, you know, preferred countries in the world. I wouldn't say favorite, but it's great. It is one of my favorites for sure. How has it been on a German Autobahn? I've been on German Autobahns before. It's cool. It's cool. I was in my Tesla, so you know, Tesla Model 3 performance, it's not going to go that fast. You know, I mean, it accelerates quickly, but it doesn't drive at high speeds. So I'm not, you know, I wasn't super thrilled by it. But yeah, when I took my Porsche, that was pretty fun. Firefly's a house in LA? Yeah, I want one. I'm first focusing on buying one in the United Kingdom. So I need to be a little bit more sensible first. It's difficult to buy foreign assets, you know, if you don't live in a country where you want the asset. It's not super difficult, but it's more difficult than, you know, if you were already a local. So, you know, and I'm a trader first and foremost. I'm not a real estate investor, and I don't want to be. I'm only doing it because I know it's probably quite sensible. And I know that I probably don't have enough rationality yet to say no to such an important thing. It's the only reason I've decided to go into real estate. Otherwise, I'd much prefer keeping everything in Bitcoin. No, I don't like the UK at all. No, but it's still, you know, I'm still going to be here every year, you know, for a couple months at least. I need to improve the website. It's not up to standard. If you have any advice, please let me know. I'd love to hear it if you can tell me about it on Telegram. I actually think it's pretty nice, but if you think differently, then I want to know why, and hopefully I can improve based off your feedback. Anyway, guys, I'm going to call it a live stream there. So thank you all very much for tuning in. I could keep going on for hours. Someone's just asked what I like about LA, mainly the energy. It's a very focused city where, you know, a lot of, you know, nearly everyone there wants to do something big in their life, and that's very different to most cities in the world. You know, I mean, something big might mean in a city like London, I want to study to be a lawyer, or I want to study to be a doctor or an accountant. That's not big. You know, I mean, that you know, those are things that are attainable is the point. Like, you can do it stable, steady, 45-degree incline path in life all the time. You're just very stable, very sensible growth. You can get there. It's just a matter of, you know, putting in the effort. But the thing I like about LA is people are about all or nothing. You know, they want to be all the way up here, or they'd rather be down here. You know, and that is exactly firmly who I am as well. So it's just, yeah, it's the energy. It starts with cars, then you're going to put your first boat. Yeah. I'm sure it does just start with cars, but cars have not lost their appeal yet. So we'll see how it goes. Anyway, guys, thank you all very much for tuning in, and I'm going to call it a stream there. So if you have enjoyed it, you know what to do. Hit up the likes, subscribe, tick the bell, all that good stuff. I'm going to get going, and I'll see you all tomorrow in the next video.